She looked straight into my eyes and we both sobbed. 12 stories about remorse, regret and disgust from r/confessions. Especially the last story is very sad and disturbing. I left my new friend to die. I found this adorable orange kitten shivering by my little brother's school on Halloween. I took her in, and immediately saw that she was covered in fleas. I didn't have the right things to get the fleas off of her, so I just used my soap and gave her like 3 baths. She was so cute and affectionate. She always licked my face and always slept in my arms. The thing is that I'm not allowed to have cats under my mom's house because they mess with her breathing. She has COPD. She eventually ended up popping up in my mom's peripheral after I've had her hidden in my room since I found her. My mom started yelling at me about bringing cats in the house and whatnot, so I had to let her out. As soon as I let her out, a big snowstorm came. I tried to find her for 2 days and it's eating me up because I know she's most likely dead. I wish I were more responsible with handling her, or I wish I could have just fought for her to stay. That's all I had to say. I lost everything because I fell in love. About 2 years ago, my life was at the top. I had actual friends, I was good looking, I was top in the class. Everything was perfect. Until I met this girl that I saw was struggling so hard with life. I chose to help her, and not soon after, I fell in love. She was beautiful. But I learned that she had no friends. She had several diagnoses and had no friends. She had tried to kill herself several times, but had not succeeded. But I tried my best to help her. And it worked. She got better, got friends, and lost some of her diagnoses. But during this time I stopped talking to my friends. Helping her got so mentally exhausting that I stopped doing every school-related thing, and my grades dropped. I stopped caring about myself, she was more important. But it didn't mean anything to me at that moment. I was so blindly in love, and we had each other. We had such a strong bond, and she was the girl I would share my life with. But that changed 2 months ago. She decided she didn't need me anymore. She now was happy, and had many friends. She cut all contact. I was left with nothing. I had no friends, I had no one to talk to. We had changed roles. I now have no interest of existing. I have an alcohol problem. The only person left in my life that I can try to talk to is my mother. But I have tried and she does not understand. My life seems pointless. I get pissed off at obese people. I know this is bad, but I just get upset at fat people. Everywhere I look, I see fat people, and it upsets me. I see obesity as a sign of laziness. Laziness to not work out, laziness to not eat right, laziness to not educate yourself on how to maintain a healthy weight. Especially, when I hear somebody complain about how fat they are and try to get my pity, but then go to get an order at McD's, including fries and a large drink. But wait, they get a diet drink, because they think that will help. And then, if I agree with them that they are overweight, or even if I just remain silent to the issue, I am thought of as a jerk. And no, you are not just big-boned. You have chosen to adopt your habits. And your habits have made you fat. Another reason that this pisses me off is the push towards standardized healthcare. In case you haven't guessed yet, I work out. I have busted my ass to maintain the shape that I am in. I am healthy and therefore, I am able to get healthcare at a cheaper rate through my insurance. But, as a taxpayer, I am supposed to pay for your fat butt to get free healthcare? I am supposed to cover your knee replacement because your body couldn't handle its own weight? I am supposed to pay for the triple bypass because you chose to eat fast food every day for 5 years? Yet I am not supposed to say anything, because that makes me look bad. I apologize if I offended anybody, especially if you are overweight. You need to hear it though. Hopefully this will motivate you to get something done. Put down that soda, get some water. Get your hand out of the chips bag, grab some fruit or veggies. I bullied a kid who later died, and I feel terrible about it. Back in elementary school there was this kid, we'll call him Jay, who was kind of an outcast. One day during recess Jay scratched another kid and made the kid bleed. It was a total accident. I saw one of my buddies totally bashing Jay for doing it, and Jay started crying. Instead of trying to help out, I joined in and kept saying "What is wrong with you?" and making Jay feel like total garbage. About 2 weeks later, I was in class and I got a cut on my finger and it started bleeding. Jay saw it and immediately ran to help and made a makeshift band-aid out of a tissue and tape to make sure I'd quit bleeding. Super sweet kid who decided to help me out even though I was a total prick to him. Jay ended up moving to a new school and about 2 years later I found out he died by getting crushed by a four-wheeler. I hope you're in a better place Jay, and I'm so sorry for being butthole to you. Such a sweet guy and I'll never forget you, man. I broke up with my boyfriend because he didn't believe in evolution. I try not to be closed-minded, I really do, but he told me that I was wrong because God made everything in literally 6 days, evolution doesn't fit. So I broke it off quickly and without a lot of regret. I honestly wish I could have overlooked it, because I sacrificed what was otherwise a fine relationship for something that a lot of people said was pretty trivial. I don't regret it because I couldn't have been okay with it, but I wish I could have? I don't know. I lied about not being able to see, and completely ruined my vision. When I was in the 3rd grade, I thought that people wearing glasses were super cool. They always seemed to be smarter and what I perceived to be more popular. I wanted to wear glasses, but I could see perfectly fine. So I lied. When the annual and school eye exam came around, I lied to the student nurse and my parents. I pretended that I was unable to read the test on the cards, even though I could see it perfectly fine. This earned me an appointment with the optometrist, where I lied, again, to her as well. This landed me my nice and shiny prescription glasses. I got what I wanted. I was a 3rd grader with glasses. Cool like everyone else. And, I played myself. Turns out, wearing prescription glasses when you do not need them will totally ruin your vision, actually. Here I am, age 23. Blind as a bat. Still wear contacts or glasses to this day, eyesight progressively worsening, with astigmatism in both eyes. I've never told anyone this, from 7 years old to 23. I had to kill a baby seagull yesterday. It was around 5 p.m., I just finished work. I got a text from my mum with a photo of a baby seagull with its face burrowed into the ground hiding and scared as it had been attacked by a magpie in the morning. So it had been sat there with a wound in its head since morning. Flies were laying maggots in the little baby seagull. The text my mum sent me said something like, "There's a poor baby seagull with a wound and flies are laying their eggs in it. You have to deal with it." I was like, what the hell does she want me to do? Do you want me to put it out of its misery or nurture it back to health? She said I had to shoot it, but she thought I wouldn't be able to do it, even my stepdad couldn't do it. So I got home and my stepdad handed me the air rifle already loaded. I was just going to stick the barrel on its head so it would die instantly, but my stepdad said use your sights. So I stepped back a couple feet and aimed for its head and shot. I don't know if it died instantly or if it suffered because it was spazing all over the place. Just to make sure though, I loaded the air rifle again and put another on through its head point blank. It definitely died after that. My mom and sister ran inside before I shot it because they didn't want to watch, but they still watched me from the house. After I had shot it 2 times my mom came out and shouted, "Nathan, I'm taking you to therapy." I think I did the little thing a favor. It could have either died slowly and been eaten alive by maggots, or it could have had me help it out and been eaten alive by maggots, or it could have had me help it out and end its suffering. I used to call my sister ugly when I was younger and I regret it so much. My sister has always had low self-esteem issues. I knew it would upset her the most if I called her ugly, so when we got in our spats, it would come out. I was really young at the time and I regret it so much because our mom was really mean to my sister and me. I had made our looks a priority over everything, so she would berate my sister for being overweight and unattractive. I feel so bad. I know that bad parenting played a role in this too. You never know how much that stuff impacts you until you're older. My mom taught us that our looks were our only worth. But my sister ended up proving her massively wrong by pursuing a master's degree and being driven to be a smart, high-functioning human. She's making very good money in San Francisco now. And to top it off, she is very beautiful. She was never ugly. I pick my nose and eat it. I've wanted to tell this for a while. I'm using a throwaway because I don't really want people I know to know this. Ever since I was a kid I've picked my nose. We all do it when we are young, I just didn't stop. I never really tried to kick the habit. I don't do it in public areas. I usually do it when I'm alone, and even then I don't really think about it as it happens. As a kid that wasn't always the case. I got caught in middle school by a girl once and felt really embarrassed, just not enough to stop. I know it is not the most socially acceptable activity. I am fine keeping it a secret, but I wanted to share with someone. If I'm being honest too, they taste good. They have different flavors based on their texture. If you have a runny nose they are more watered down. If they are dry they are more concentrated. The sticky ones feel the best. As I get older I get more nose hair. They sometimes come with the boogers and I pick them out because for some reason, that is where I draw the line. I anonymously called my boss in the middle of the night for almost a year. I guess with age I feel a little bit bad about this now. Where I used to work I was on third shift as a salaried supervisor. When I was off work and trying to sleep or relax I was constantly getting work-related calls and texts from the other shifts including my boss. I was carrying the whole department basically. I loved what I did but I didn't feel I was getting paid nearly enough, so after a year or so I started getting sick of never really being off work. My boss had a company-paid cell phone and as a manager he was required to keep it on at all times in case there was an emergency at work. During this time I had an old prepaid phone that was still active with carryover minutes. One night when we were slow at work I used 67, which blocks your number from being displayed, to call his phone and wake him up at 3 a.m. When he sleepily said hello I hung up. I planned on it being a one-time thing, but when he came in the next morning he was red-eyed and exhausted like I was all the time from being called when off work. From that point on I would call him in the middle of the night 2 or 3 times per week. Most of the time I would let it ring 3 or 4 times and hang up. Sometimes I would call him from my real phone and pretend I butt dialed him. On the days I would call him when he was sleeping, he would drag and looking rough and I would take secret pleasure in seeing him feel like I did, since I was still constantly being called when I was off. Occasionally he would comment that some damn butthole called his phone and woke him up. After about a year they hired another supervisor, so my work was cut in half. I finally got some time to relax and get some rest. I stopped calling him at that point after almost a year. Sometimes I'm torn between feeling bad about doing it, and also that maybe I should have done it more. I think my wife is going to leave. My wife and I started dating in 2014 when we were both 22. She already had a 3-year-old girl from a previous relationship and I had just been divorced. We met through work and we dated for 1.5 years before she got pregnant with our daughter. In 2016, after our daughter was born, she moved into my house. We lived together for 2 years before we got married in 2018. Well, after our honeymoon in Florida, my wife went to the doctor and found out she had a cancerous tumor. They had surgery to get it removed and then she had to go through 3 months of radiation treatment and they told us they got it. Well, after the radiation her wounds were not healing correctly. So they had to do another surgery to repair damaged tissue and do a skin graft. That was in August of this year, 2019, we just hit back from the doctor because it's been 3 months and nothing is better. They think her bones are infected, causing her not to heal properly. So she goes in for another surgery next week. They tell us it's a routine thing and nothing to worry about, but I am a worrier, and I have a gut feeling that things aren't going to turn out well. I'm scared to lose her and I don't want the kids to lose her. It's tough because I act like it will be okay and I tell her she will get better, but deep down I'm freaking out all day every day about what could happen. If I could do it all again I wouldn't have let her do the radiation, because that's what screwed her up. I don't want her to die. I would rather die and take her place so she can live a good life with the kids. I don't want the kids to grow up without a mother or father. I just want us to be one big happy family like we were before this. Thank you for reading this, and if you can pray for us or send us positive vibes the next few weeks. I left my wife to die on 9/11. At the time, we lived outside the city and I took the day off so we could visit our lawyer for some pretty mundane things. Our son was at home with a sitter and we were going to make a day of it. We stayed in place after the North Tower attack and then the South Tower was hit. My wife is not mobile and it made sense to wait. Or at least I thought so. When the South Tower was hit, we were suddenly stuck with no way down. I could not carry my wife and, like ghosts, everyone seemed to vanish. That time with my wife is a blur even now. I won't go into the emotional agony, but we decided that our son could not be left parentless. So I abandoned my wife. Pretending that she would be okay, the North Tower was still standing at that point, but really knowing that I was maybe killing her. I am a coward. I accept that. I hate myself for it. The last I saw her was her sitting on the floor, leaning against a wall. She looked straight into my eyes and we both sobbed. And then she just looked away. I think giving me permission to leave. We had agreed I would. And I did. I stared at her for a while, but then I just closed the stairwell door and ran for my life. As far as anyone knows, we got separated in the chaos and I have no idea what happened to her. This has haunted me for too long. I will never tell my son what really happened, but it feels good to just tell anyone. Thanks for listening to Radio TTS. Hit the subscribe button and activate the notification bell for your daily dose of Reddit confessions. Click the right box for the confessions playlist. And let us know in the comments which story affected you the most.